Guys, welcome back to Breakthrough Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how I made this shrimp mofongo. So the first thing I did is seasoned my shrimp. In here I have some sazon, some adobo, salt, pepper, garlic. All the ingredients will be on my blog linked below. But this is the first thing I do. I only used a little bit of that seasoning mix to season the shrimp, and the rest is gonna go mixed in when I am actually cooking it. So mixed up, I'm gonna set that to the side, and now I'm going to peel my plantain. I'm peeling it, and then I'm gonna cut it into about 1-inch pieces because they're gonna be fried, and then I'm going to be using those to smash in my pilon and make the mofongo. So if you didn't know, a good trick to cut your plantain is to do what I'm doing right here. Cut it on those edges that it already has, and it's gonna make peeling it so much easier. You're gonna see how easily it just comes off. Because sometimes it's really hard to get out. I remember before this trick, I used to struggle. I used to be here for like a good 2 minutes. Now I do it in a good 30 seconds. And this recipe is only going to be for one serving, for one mofongo. So I'm only using one plantain. I'm only using a little bit of shrimp. I'm using enough ingredients for one serving. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to make this for more than 1 or 2 people, you're going to want to double all of the servings. So now you're gonna see I'm cutting it about 1 inch thick, and I'm gonna put that back into my cutting board with all of my other ingredients because I'm not ready just yet to put them to fry. I don't know what I'm debating. I think I'm debating cutting it diagonally or continue cutting it the way that I was. And I just decided to keep cutting it the way that I was because eventually it would have ended up diagonal, just like you're seeing right now. So that's what I did. And that's what they look like. You get a good amount, and so I'm going to put these on my cutting board, and I'm going to continue with cutting a couple other things that I didn't pre-cut, like my tomato and my lemon. Lemon is going to be used in the mojo for when we have the plantain to smash for the mofongo, and the tomato is going to be going into the shrimp when I'm cooking it. You're going to see all of that in just a few minutes. So I'm dicing my tomato because I don't want big chunks when I have my shrimp, and I'm going to be taking out that big membrane that doesn't really taste good and doesn't have a great texture either. So you can do the same. If you don't want to waste, you could use that as well. That's just my personal preference. These are plum tomatoes. I don't know, by me, they don't have those super red, juicy tomatoes. Super jealous of the people who get those, at their local farmer's market. But my local farmer's market, this is what I get. Not the best tomatoes I've ever had, but it is what it is. So once I have these all diced up, I'm just going to be putting them into my container with my onions because they're going to be going in there all together. So I didn't have another container, so that's where I put it. And I'm only using half of the tomato. So now I'm ready to cook. I'm going to be putting some olive oil into my pan for the shrimp, and then I have some vegetable oil in my smaller pan for the plantain. I'm putting the plantain in here one at a time. At this point, the oil is not too hot, which is good because it's easier to put everything in and not risk burning your fingers because this oil gets very hot. But so that's what I'm doing with the plantain. Once I have that all in there, I'm going to go ahead and throw my green bell pepper, chopped up green bell pepper, into the pan, my tomato from earlier, and some red onion. And now I have a bunch of garlic right here. I'm going to be smashing it in with that little device that I always use. If you don't have one, go get one because it is a huge time saver. This thing has saved me so much time. I don't have to mince garlic. I don't have to dice garlic. I just put it in here, smash it, do the dishes, it's done. I love it. So once I have everything in the pan. I'm going to be mixing it all up. I'm going to be letting it cook for a good 5 minutes. Let all the juices come out, soften everything up a little bit before I go ahead and add the rest of my ingredients. Now, I'm going to be going in with tomato sauce. You can use tomato paste instead. This is just what I had on hand. So I'm only going to be adding a little bit of that. I'm going to mix that in. This is definitely going to be a longer video because I did not fast forward anything. I kept everything in real time. I wanted to see what it would look like and what it would be like and what you guys would think. So definitely comment down below if you prefer it in real time or in sped up time. Let me know. So next I'm going to be going in with the shrimp. I'm going to throw the shrimp into the pan with all the veg. I'm going to be letting that cook. I'm going to mix it all in so it's all mixed up with the veg and the tomato sauce. I'm going to let that cook for a minute, and then I'm going to be adding my coconut milk. Now this is just optional. This is just going to add a creamy component to your shrimp. I personally really like the addition, but not a big deal if you don't want to add it or if you don't have it on hand. Now in that same bowl with the coconut milk, I'm going to be adding my water, and then I'm going to be putting the water in the pan with everything else. I'm going to be adding it a little bit at a time to make sure that I'm not overdoing it, because I am working with a small serving size. And all the exact measurements will be linked down below on the blog, FYI. So now that I have everything mixed in, I'm going to be adding all of my seasoning, and this is going to give this so much flavor. So you're also going to see the color is going to get deeper. It's going to look a lot richer. It just looks delicious. So now that everything's in there, I'm going to be letting it cook for a few minutes, letting it do its thing. Moving on, I'm going to be making the mojo next. So for the mojo, I actually went ahead with some lemon juice. I'm juicing the lemon in this way so I can catch whatever seeds fall in, because obviously we don't want any seeds in our mofongo. So this is what I'm doing. I do have one of those thingies, but it's just a lot faster to do it this way. So anyways, I'm adding some salt. I'm going to be adding some pepper. Now keep in mind, in this mojo, there's going to be where a lot of the creativity and the flavor is going to be for the mofongo. So if you want to add some extra spice, if you want to add some extra herb, this is where it's really going to pop out, because that mofongo is going to catch all those flavors. So that garlic right there is also going to go into the mojo, but I'm not going to use that mincer, even though it is super time saving. The method in this step has to be done a specific way. So here I go, just tasting the shrimp, making sure it's good on seasoning, on salt, and that everything is tasting amazing. Now I'm just gonna let that rest while I continue finishing up all the other steps, and then I could put this mixture into my mofongo. So next I'm going to be flipping the plantain because they're finally starting to cook. So here I go, flipping them carefully because again that oil gets super hot. I'm actually trying to find a way, I'm trying to start testing making these in the air fryer, like even tostones and stuff like that. Just the plantain in general, I've always fried them, but it'd be really cool to have a different alternative to cooking these, because sometimes you don't want to pull out that oil and you don't want to do all that. And it really defers me from making plantain sometimes, because I don't want to eat fried food, etc. So air fryer plantains might be where it's at. Coming soon. Stay tuned. So these need to be cooked on the other side before we can go ahead and smash them. In the meantime, I'm going to be moving my little cooking top aside, and then I'm going to be grabbing my pilon, and then I'm going to be putting the garlic in there. And this is what I'm going to be doing for the garlic that goes into the mojo, because smashing the garlic this way, the flavors come out a lot more. And this is just a traditional way of making this recipe, so I'm going to follow it. I have the pilon right there, might as well. So if you don't have a pilon, you can also do this in a bowl with a spoon. Not a big deal, but pilons are also fairly affordable. So if you are casually making these types of recipes pretty often, it might be worth the investment. Also, mine is super tiny, but it does the job. Maybe next time I'll try with the bigger one so I can make a really, really big mofongo. That'd be so cool. But anyways, here I go, smashing up the garlic, making sure that all the pieces are nice and smashed up before I put it in the mojo. And by the time that I have this all ready, the plantain should be ready to go. So here I am just showing you what the garlic looks like once it's done. And now I'm going to just throw it all into the mojo, and that's going to be the last ingredient. Now, like I said, herbs and other spices would be great in the mojo. Personally, I think that cilantro would have been amazing. I didn't have that on hand, but if you do, definitely add it. I totally recommend it. So yeah, so here I go. I'm just gonna mix this up, and then it'll be time to go on with the next step, the final step of the mofongo. So now I didn't do this extra step. I didn't know at the time. I got lucky because my mofongo came out pretty easily. But before you do anything, before you start smashing, you want to pour cold water on your pilon. That's gonna be the easiest way for the mofongo to come out once you have it all smashed up. Pro tip, I repeat, pour water on the pilon before you start smashing. It's gonna make getting it out so much easier. So I didn't do that. Like I said, I got lucky, but whatever. So here I just threw in a couple pieces of fried plantain, about 1 tablespoon of butter, and then a couple teaspoons of the mojo that I made, and now I'm gonna start smashing. And then slowly I'm gonna be adding a couple more plantains in there, a little bit more mojo, and then I'm gonna be filling. So it is a little bit of a workout, not gonna lie, but it is well worth it. It is a little bit messy, not gonna lie, but again, it is well worth it. The flavors that you can make in a pilon like this are incredible, and I totally recommend this recipe and other Caribbean recipes. The flavors are just unmatched. So here I go, smashing the rest of the plantain in the pan. I'm only going to be using half, and then with the other half I'm going to be making another little mofongo. So this does serve 1 or 2 people, but like I said, if you're going to be making this for more than 1 or 2 people, you're going to want to double or maybe triple the recipe. Also, you want to make sure your plantain is golden brown. You don't want it to be super dark and crunchy. You want it to be a nice golden brown. You don't want it to be still raw and whatnot, but a nice golden brown is what we're looking for here. So you also don't want to put too many plantains in the pilon. You want to leave a good amount to be able to put a good amount of filling. So this was how much I put in, and obviously you're gonna have to eye it and put in as much mojo as you think you need. You obviously don't want it to be dry at all. If it's too wet, then it's not going to hold its structure. So keep this in mind and work efficiently. So I'm gonna clean up a little bit around the space because I hate working in a dirty space. I just can't do it. So then I'm going to be shaping the mofongo. I'm pretty much going to be using the little wooden stick to make a hole in the middle, so I can put the filling in. And I'm going to make sure everything is nice and even, make sure that all the edges are nice and flat, and then I'm going to be filling it in. So here it is, nice and flat. I want to make sure to get a good amount of shrimp and a good amount of sauce in there. And now I'm going to be grabbing my plate, and I'm just going to be flipping it over, and I'm just going to tap it a little bit and release. So this was my mofongo. I think I might have overfilled it either with the shrimp, or I might have just put too many plantains in the pilon when I did it, but I still think it came out good for my first try. This is me just putting some more of that shrimp on top to make it nice and pretty. And I'm gonna be serving this with avocado. Now remember, you can find this recipe down below on my blog, breakthroughkitchen.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow the kitchen on Instagram, comment down below what you thought about this recipe, and let me know what I should do next. See you guys next time. Bye.